Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking at the CSEC POB Paper 2, May-June 2023, past paper. Let's get into it. Question number 1. List 4 sources of conflict that may arise within an organization. 4 sources of conflict that may arise within an organization are poor working conditions, preferential treatment by management, unfair dismissal, and job security issues. These are the 4 listed sources of conflict that may arise within an organization. Very, very simple. Part B wants us to describe each of the following strategies used by employees to gain the upper hand during periods of conflict. So walk to rule. Walk to rule is a strategy implemented by employees to gain the upper hand during periods of conflict, whereby they adhere strictly to the terms outlined in the employment contract, starting and ending work as specified, without undertaking any additional work that may be beneficial to the organization outside the stipulated time frame. Right? Simply not doing extra work, basically. Picketing. Picketing is a strategy used by employees where they refuse to enter their respective organization of work by protesting and persuading others to join in expressing their grievances. That is picketing. And strike action is kind of similar to picketing. However, strike action is a strategy in which employees refuse to work, protest their grievances, and persuade the public to support their position. And all of these 3 things here are for 2 marks each. Part C wants us to outline 2 strategies that could be used by management to resolve conflict within an organization. Within an organization, management may first attempt to bring in a neutral mediator to facilitate effective communication and assist in developing mutual understanding, enabling the aggrieved parties to resolve the conflict. Lastly, management may also seek arbitration, in which a neutral third party reviews the case and delivers a fair and enforceable decision that both parties must accept. Management typically considers this approach a last resort after all other attempts to resolve the dispute have been unsuccessful. And that question goes for 4 marks. Part D wants us to explain 2 legal or ethical principles that business owners should adopt in the operations of a business. 2 ethical principles that business owners should adopt in their business operations are developing a code of ethics and adopting an environmentally friendly policy. Firstly, the development and implementation of a code of ethics document will indirectly fuse into the corporate culture of the organization, ensuring ethical behavior from the other stakeholders of the business. And we all know who are the other stakeholders of the business: the customers, the employees, the environmental community, and the shareholders, right? Right. Furthermore, suppose the firm adopts a friendly environmental policy, such as proper disposal of pollutants and recycling of waste products. In that case, it prevents or limits the effect of negative externalities, again benefiting the firm. And that goes here for 6 marks. Please pay attention to the marks that is awarded to each question. Number 2, define the term entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is an individual with business skills who takes on financial and other related risk by organizing the factors of production to produce goods and or services, right? They take on risk. They have specific skills. These key terms should be in your description or definition. Part B, want to list 3 characteristics of a typical entrepreneur. 3 characteristics of a typical entrepreneur are risk-taker, success-driven, and innovative, right? These are 3 characteristics of a typical entrepreneur. It could be more, it could be more, right? There are many other things that you could say are a characteristics, right, of an entrepreneur. Part C, want us to define the term collateral. Collateral is an asset pledged as security in the event of a loan default to a financial institution. So if you are unable to, especially if you're a sole trader, right? If you are unable to, let's say you go for financing at a financial institution, right? You go for funds, you want funds to start your business because you need source of capital, right? You go there and you ask for some money. Let's say you borrow $5 or $50,000, right? As a loan. Now you as a sole trader who don't really have much personal assets, right? Usually you will have to find one to use as security, or in other words, collateral to get the loan, right? So in case you're unable to repay the loan, the bank will always take that asset you gave them. It could be a land, it could be a house, right? To recuperate that loss that they may incur, because you can't be bashing the banks now, because the banks are, again, financial institutions that are for profit. They are a business entity, and they need to make sure that they protect their depositors' funds, right? So they want to see collateral. You have to show them collateral. That is why it's important to have collateral, guys, especially if you are a sole trader. That is of value, of course. The next part, want to list 3 types of collateral. 3 types of collateral we have are properties, whether it's real estates, it could be property in terms of residential, right? Stocks, in other words, shares of companies, and bonds, right? Bonds, these are debt instruments issued by the government or a company. Part D wants us to state 2 government regulations with which the entrepreneur must comply when establishing a business locally. In your response, provide an example for each regulation. When establishing a business locally, entrepreneurs must comply with various government regulations, including those related to workplace health and safety. For example, on a block plant, right, where they make bricks, right, to build houses, the owner should provide the workers with proper safety gear to prevent illness and injuries. Furthermore, complying with regulations related to the safe and legal disposal of waste and other pollutants is essential, as this helps prevent environmental pollution. They're very short and very simple. Part E wants us to explain 2 ways in which entrepreneurship contributes to the economic development of a country. Entrepreneurship can contribute to economic development in many ways. Firstly, the creation of jobs as a result of the various successful business ventures started by entrepreneurs can result in the government collecting more tax revenue, right? Which can be allocated, for example, to retraining and educating the citizens in high-value skills. As a result, making the citizens more job marketable domestically, regionally, and internationally, resulting in higher wages and living standards, right? It's a domino effect. It always trickles down. Lastly, The greater variety of goods and services provided by entrepreneurs in the market can directly improve the living standards of individuals, as they can choose goods and services that make a living less stressful and costless, right? Or costly, right? Less stressful and costly. It's cheaper, right? We're just trying to make our livelihood less taxing, in other words, therefore increasing the productivity. 6 marks. Moving on, question 3A. Want us to identify 2 factors that must be considered when packaging goods for resale. So 2 key factors or 2 key considerations when packaging goods for resale are product protection and the visual appeal, right? And I will dare say that the visual appeal weighs very heavy, especially when you're talking about reselling the product. Very important to look at. Part B wants us to list for qualities of successful salespersons. 4 qualities of successful salespersons are self-confidence, persuasiveness, persistence, and strong communication skills. This asks us to list, and we just list them. Next part, describe 2 sales promotion techniques. Firstly, distributing free samples is a promotional technique that offers potential customers a product at no cost, encouraging them to try it. The aim is to help them become acquainted with the product, increasing the likelihood of future purchases. Lastly, businesses may organize contests with attractive prizes to encourage customer participation and boost interest in the product or services. Part C wants us to distinguish between a cash discount and a trade discount. A cash discount is a reduction in the invoice price offered to buyers as an incentive for making early payments. It encourages prompt payment and improves the seller's cash flow. Conversely, a trade discount is a reduction in the listed price of goods given by a wholesaler or manufacturer to a retailer. It is not based on early payment, but is provided to retailers to encourage bulk purchases or maintain loyalty. To know the difference, one is to encourage early payment, one is just to encourage you to keep buying from us, right? Keep buying from us. They're kind of similar, but they are not similar. Part D, Kylie created a new rhythm of Caribbean soca beats and want to sell it online to overseas producers. Explain to Kylie the importance of obtaining the copyright for her music. Kylie should obtain copyright for her soca rhythm because it gives her the exclusive legal right to use, reproduce, and sell her music. Additionally, this prevents others from copying or distributing it without her permission. Furthermore, Kylie can license her music to overseas producers and earn royalties, helping her generate income from her original work. Right? Right. Next part, Jovan excels in the culinary arts. A new local nut was discovered with high nutritional value, and he created a unique dessert, Nutty Joe, for the young and healthy conscious. Explain to Jovan the value of obtaining a trademark for his product. Jovan should obtain a trademark for his product, Nutty Joe, because it builds or helps builds a unique brand identity that consumers can easily recognize and trust, which is especially valuable in the health-conscious market. Above all, trademarking the product can also increase its commercial value and make it more appealing to investors or partners, giving Jovan a competitive edge in the marketplace. Awesome. Moving on. 4A wants us to state two functions of each of the following intermediaries in the chain of distribution. So retailers. So two functions of retailers are selling small quantities to final consumers and providing after-sales service and advice. So the after-sales service and advice is linked together. Wholesalers. Two functions of wholesalers are buying goods in large quantities from manufacturers and providing storage facilities. Part B wants us to identify two links in the distribution chain other than retailers and wholesalers. Two links in the distribution chain, in addition to retailers and wholesalers, are producers or manufacturers. So we could either call them manufacturers or we could call them producers, and agents. Part C wants us to identify the most suitable type of transportation for each of the following products. Meat products from local farms to restaurants. We're going to use road transport for that. And also be transporting the meat, refrigerated trucks, obviously. Bricks from construction company to building site. We'll be using road transport for that. Transportation, and again, trucks will do the heavy lifting. Crude oil from oil field to refinery, you're going to use pipelines. Most suitable. Cars from country A to country B, sea transportation. It is specified as to how close in proximity country A is to country B. So we're going to say sea transportation. Part D wants us to list 4 problems that may occur in the distribution of goods. 4 problems that may occur in the distribution of goods are inadequate infrastructure, high transportation costs, breakdown in communication, and inadequate storage facilities. Part E wants us to explain 2 measures that could be implemented to minimize challenges that may occur in the distribution of goods. Firstly, the use of efficient transportation systems through investments in reliable and timely transportation ensures that goods are delivered on schedule and in good condition. Additionally, this minimizes delays, spoilage, and customer dissatisfaction. Lastly, improved communication and technology can lead to up-to-date communication systems and inventory tracking technologies, ensuring accurate record keeping, better coordination between supply chain members, and reduce instances of overstocking or understocking. Right? Right. Now, I would say that the best company I find that is really, really implementing these things that I've just written here is Amazon. Amazon is a behemoth. Amazon have really pushed the online shopping experience to an extreme. They're really, really doing a good job, guys, in terms of how they organize the logistics and getting the goods to you at an instant, right? At an instant. That is why they have the same day shipping or the Prime plan where you get the goods on the same day, right in front of your doorstep. So they're really, really good at that. That is why they are so profitable. Number 5A, define the term standard of living. Standard of living is the quantity and the quality of goods and services enjoyed by the citizens of a country over a particular period. Identify 2 factors that determines a country's standard of living. 2 factors that determines a country's standard of living are gross domestic product, per capita, and access to modern technology. Especially in this modern era, access to modern technology could make a huge difference. Next part, define the term rate of infant mortality. as a factor of the quality of life. Infant mortality rate is the number of deaths of infants under 1 year of age per 1,000 live births in a given year. Part B, describe each of the following measures of national income. Gross national product, GNP. Gross national product, or GNP, is a total monetary value of all final goods and services enjoyed or produced, I should say, by the citizens of a country in a given year, regardless of whether the production takes place within the country or abroad. So it's all about the national factors of production and what they are producing, right? And we all know what are the factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship or enterprise. Gross domestic product, GDP, on the other hand, is the total monetary value of all final goods and services produced within a country's geographical boundaries during a specific period. It's usually 1 year, regardless of who generates them. So if you're located in the US and you work in the US and you spend money in the US, your spending, your consumption will be added towards the GDP of the US. Okay? Because you're operating within the geographical boundary of the country. Per capita income. Per capita income is the average income earned by each person in the country during a specific period, typically calculated by dividing the national income by the total population. So again, that is a gauge to see how well the country is doing on a national level, right? We could look at the per capita income. That can also tell us as well how wealthy the country is, how wealthy. Part C, state 2 reasons why countries engage in international trade. 2 reasons why countries engage in international trade are to obtain goods and services that they cannot produce themselves and to earn foreign exchange, basically. Also, one of the reasons why countries want to trade internationally is because, yes, to earn foreign exchange, but also to use this foreign exchange to input goods. Because most of the times, guys, usually Caribbean countries trade using a vehicle currency. And that vehicle currency is usually the US dollar, right? It's the most widely used currency globally to trade goods and services. Part D, explain 2 ways in which foreign investments could positively impact Caribbean countries. Foreign investments can have a positive impact on Caribbean countries in numerous ways. Firstly, foreign investments often lead to the establishment of new businesses or the expansion of existing ones. Furthermore, increases the demand for local labor, thereby reducing unemployment and improving the standard of living in the host country. Another reason is that foreign investors may introduce modern equipment, advanced production techniques, and professional expertise. Additionally, it can enhance the productivity and efficiency of local industries, contributing to human resource development through training and knowledge sharing. Very concise for 6 marks. And that is the end of the exam, guys. See you all next time.